All right, we're live on YouTube. Nice. So hopefully everybody can hear us and do okay. We'll see how this goes. I have no idea. Wow, this is interesting. Is there anybody there? I can't tell. Hard to know. Do what? All right, cool. Yeah, so interesting. All right, there's two people that jumped in with us, it looks like. So I see that now. Hopefully you guys can hear us okay. I don't know that the microphones are coming through on the laptop, on the computer, but here we are. What's up? Welcome in. We are live out here at Oak Highlands Brewing Company in Lake Highlands. So Oak Highlands is, for those of you that may or may not be in the area, Oak Highlands is off 635 and Miller Road, just north of 635. I mean, it's easy to get to. Of course, traffic doesn't necessarily always help you out with that. But for the most part, you get what it is. So glad to have a lot of you guys here on the Jam Session YouTube podcast. And I think we're on Instagram Live over there. So hi to you guys on Instagram Live as well. And so you guys are sitting there like, see you on YouTube, the computer's here, and then Instagram's over there, and you guys are watching us as we watch this computer with you. This is trippy, dude. God, it's hot as balls in here. I'm going to have to disrobe. I'm like sweating profusely. But yeah, we're going to get rolling here on our live show. It is indeed Jean-Jacques Taylor. It's Matt McLaren. And this is the Jam Session podcast. And we appreciate all of you that have been listening, whether you're watching on YouTube or you've been listening to the podcast itself, which is available for you wherever you get your podcasts. We're doing 3 podcasts a week, and you can find that available. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on Amazon, it's on Stitcher, it's everywhere. And we've been loading up podcasts for you. We just dropped one today that had a conversation with Odd Muse Brewing Company over in Farmers Branch. And also we told you who's going to win and why. And Jacques did Whispers from the Star. Now, those of you watching on YouTube, it's also available for you to listen to on YouTube. It's the latest video that we posted. Now, there's no actual video content, and it's just our logo, but you can go and listen to the episode on YouTube, which I actually think is kind of cool to do as well. So wherever you want to find us, we are out there for you. We got a lot of stuff in the works for those of you that maybe haven't seen us in a while or wasn't exactly sure what the hell is happening. But we have got a lot of things coming. We will be right here at Oak Highlands Brewery every Friday from 4 until 6 o'clock. So come on out and you can actually sit and have a drink with us. Now, we're back in the brew house, as you can see behind me here, the tanks that they have up. These are their fermenters and where they actually brew the beer. But you can actually come and sit back here with us. So might be something fun to do for those of you who are in the area, if you want to make it over or make plans perhaps next Friday or a Friday thereafter to get over as well. But we're going to get you here, and we're going to do it like we do our radio show. And, of course, the Cowboys have a big one coming up on Sunday. I say a big one. They're playing Washington. But it's a big game because this is a team that sucks in Washington and a team that sucks in Dallas. And this is one of those things where Dallas, I mean, if you ever wanted to try to salvage this season, it starts on Sunday.
Yeah, but I think the season's already done. I mean, it's to me, it's you'd love to see him win it and keep it somewhat interesting since Philadelphia won and is now in sole possession of NFC East race. But I mean, I think if we're honest about the situation, man, this to me is a bad matchup. You got Washington with a whole bunch of draft collateral, first round picks on their defensive line. You know, guys like Chase Young from Ohio State, Montez Sweat from Mississippi State, and 2 big fellas from Alabama.
Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen.
Thank you. I always forget their names. And then
Roll Tide.
You're talking about the Cowboys offensive line. It's got nothing for you. I mean, they've got I'm not, I need to do a little bit of work. I'm not even sure who's starting at left tackle tomorrow, whether it's Connor Williams, whether it's Cam Irvin, whether it's somebody else. But the fact that we're this deep in the week and there's still questions about it, dude, I ask you, I had a conversation with somebody last night. He was trying to tell me, I think they can go up there and win. Somebody who knows these things.
Yeah.
I said, why? Based on what? What have you seen? Well, their quarterback, no. This is not like the presidential debate where somebody asks you a question and then you immediately go on and what the other dude can't do or can't get done. This is like, no, just focus on your team, bro. Tell me why they are not going to give Washington 14 points off of turnovers, and why they're going to all of a sudden play good with Andy Dalton in the pocket, and why that ragtag offensive line is going to move people out the way. Go ahead. Explain that to your boy. And he couldn't.
No, I don't think you can. I don't have any expectations that this is going to be a fun game to watch. At least when Dak was playing, you knew they had a chance and it would be fun, because you knew no matter how far down they got or how many points the defense gave up, that the offense would figure out a way to get back into it. But as we saw last week against Arizona, that's not the case with Andy Dalton. And for those that haven't heard, if you're listening on the live broadcast portion of this, Zach Martin is out Sunday. He's not going to play.
I thought I'm not surprised by that. When he wasn't practicing Wednesday and Thursday, I'm just like, he got banged pretty good, man. Yeah,
and so he's out with the concussion, which means their offensive line is
Why are you laughing, man?
Because this is a bad offensive line.
Well, I mean, they're not supposed to be playing.
So you got an undrafted rookie free agent at right tackle in Terrence Steele. Right. You've got Connor McGovern, who was a third-round pick from a year ago, was injured all of last year, has been so bad, I guess, that he couldn't get on the field until he played his first snaps of his career last week. And so tomorrow, or Sunday rather, will be his first ever career start. Right. Tyler Biadasz is a fourth-round rookie at center, making his third career start coming up on Sunday.
Right.
Connor Williams, believe it or not, is like the man of the line.
Veteran.
He's at like 27 starts. And I don't know, I guess at right tackle or left tackle they're doing Cam Irving.
That's a disaster waiting to happen.
So, I mean, that's your offensive line in front of a guy who historically turns the ball over and isn't very good under pressure in Andy Dalton.
Well, and he can't move. So he's going to be in the pocket. So good luck with all that, man. I think you have to I've talked to Matt about this, and I'm willing to talk to you guys about this. You got to adjust your expectations. I mean, they can win tomorrow or they can win Sunday's game, but for them to win, it's more of a 16-14 kind of game.
Yeah.
13-10, 17-13, perhaps 21-17. And as I said, man, what gives you hope that one, their defense can play good, and two, that they can not turn the ball over and, give Washington points?
Yeah, nothing for me. This team sucks. I'm done with them. I'm frustrated and tired of having them.
Wait, are you breaking news?
What's wrong? You took your headphones off.
I don't like headphones. Matt's a headphone guy.
I
don't like headphones. Number 2.
Oh, okay. You don't like hearing it? See, I like hearing my voice.
No, I don't like hearing it. It feels like I'm in a tunnel.
I love it, man.
No, see, now
feels good.
Now you've always wondered what a dude who's in love with the sound of his own voice looks like.
It's me. Here it is.
Now you have it.
It's this guy right here. No, I do highly enjoy it.
It feels more like I'm in a tunnel or a submarine. So unless I'm listening to other people call in or whatever, I'm just like, I can live without it.
I got you. It helps me to hear what it is about. Like for me in the broadcast, that there's something like I know my voice sounds good, and then it's all the ambience in the area around this that I can hear. Do I know this? So I know. I don't know. I just kind of know what I'm looking to hear, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I said, if you love your own voice, that's cool, bro. I got no problem with that.
So again, for those of you that maybe just joined the chat, we are on Instagram Live, we are on YouTube Live, and we are sitting down here right now at Oak Highlands Brewery, which is off of 635 and Miller Road in Dallas. It's very easy to get to. They do a lot of really good beers. I was just finishing off the Jalapeño, which is
that the jalapeno beer?
Yeah, it is
That's actually very good.
A beer brewed with jalapenos and lime. It's a Kolsch, but Kolsch, the way you make Kolsch, it really allows for flavor to come through. And so this is damn good. I like this quite a bit if you get a chance. But we're going to be out here on Fridays at 4:00. So those of you that are watching right now, if maybe you joined and you didn't hear, it's going to be every Friday afternoon for your happy hour, so you can come hang out with us. They got plenty of space. You can come sit, watch the show live if that's your thing. But when we talked about this, your official pick, I believe, was 23-9.
Yeah.
Washington.
Yes, sir. You are correct.
In my pick, but I picked Washington to win. I think I said 27-20 Washington. Yeah, that's what I said.
And I think I said at the time, like, where they getting 20 from? I mean, I don't know, man. I just say, like, where, like, I'm not being funny. It's not like jokes. I'm like, where are they getting 20 from? We're talking about a team that last week, 344 yards, 4.1 yards per play, I think, 10 points. And here's the other thing. Remember, they haven't gotten a lot from special teams. Their defense doesn't get turnovers. We're talking about a team that I believe you told me this. One drive has started in the other team's territory through 6 games.
Yeah, out of 70 drives.
Where they getting the points from, bro? Because I don't see it.
They suck, and it's okay. It's okay that they suck. We just all need to accept it. Everybody watching, people that are going to be listening to the version of this later on, this is a crappy team. They do crappy things, and they deserve crappy results, which is why they should lose to Washington.
I mean, I think it's just what it is, man. I think they try hard most of the time, but I think, and I've told this to you guys before, Bill Parcells once said you can have so many injuries that you become compromised, and then you're not really who you are. And if we just look at this team, man, this is nothing remotely close to who they thought they were.
No.
When they showed up at the start and said, "Oh, we can finally play. We can finally have a training camp because of COVID. Now let's get it cracking." Okay? Let's just go through it real quick. The left tackle, not who they thought it was. The left guard, he's still there. The center, he's not. They thought it was Joe Looney. He's out. The right guard, Zach Martin, he's out. The right tackle, Lyle Collins, he's out. How about the tight end, Blake Jarwin? He's out. They got their 3 receivers. That's a positive. They got their running back. That's a positive. They're missing their quarterback. That ain't no good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of 11 starters missing on what was supposed to be a dynamic offense, man. And this whole next man up thing, that's a farce, okay? Because if the next man was any good, they'd have found a role for that dude.
Yeah, not to mention the fact, especially in the case of a Zach Martin or a Dak Prescott, I mean, you don't have a next man up guy that's going to step in and fill those shoes.
No,
I mean, Zach Martin especially, that's a first ballot Hall of Fame guard probably.
Right. And then we already knew the defense was going to be shady this year. This is not new. This was a team that was supposed to score a bunch of points on offense, get leads, turn the pass rushers loose, be average on special teams, or solid on special teams.
Yeah.
That's how they were supposed to play, supposed to win. Ain't none of that happening. Ain't none of that happened. And that's why they 2-4, looking to be 2-5. Then go to Philadelphia and probably 2-6. And the bigger issue, Matt, and I had a long conversation this last night with somebody. How many more games are they winning this year? No, I'm serious now. This is not about jokes and fun and games. I
gotta think they can win 3 or 4 more. I think they're gonna finish 5-11 or 6-10. I think. I don't know.
I think 5-11, 4. They'll stumble into one because they'll play whatever their best game of the year is.
Yeah.
All right. They'll stumble into one, and maybe they'll split with Washington later in the year. But the Giants, I don't know. The Giants pretty much did everything but beat them the first go round. I mean, you got the Bengals, but see, here's the problem, Matt. Late in the year, what happens? Cowboys are playing for, 3 more weeks to Cabo, 3 more weeks to Turk and Caicos, 3 more weeks to Jamaica, wherever. The Bengals are like, Joe Burrow's our guy. We get momentum for next year.
Right. We're
going to kill folks next year. So you got 2 different mindsets, man, in December when those teams get to going. If I'm going to be honest with y'all, and that's the only way I know how to do it, it really feels to me like 4-12. That's what it feels like. Maybe they get to 5-11 and keep it, I don't want to say interesting. I'd love for them to win this week just so it's interesting, but I don't really see it happening.
Yeah, I don't either. And we'll see how far down the rabbit hole this season goes. Jerry was asked on one station that nobody listens to today, about the trade deadline coming up. And would they be buyers or sellers, basically? Of course, what's he going to say? I mean, he tried to act like they're going to be buyers.
They
but
probably listened to the podcast today where I brought that up on Whispers from the Star.
Yeah, man, I don't see...
First off, they don't have a lot of guys
right, and
you would want to deal for with contracts that can be moved.
Right, and it's a weird thing because the acquisition, Albert Breer, that we've had on the radio show many times, Breer had a piece today in his NFL game plan or whatever he calls it for Sports Illustrated. When you look around the league, there's a lot of teams that are way above. Next year's projected cap right now is $175 million, which is about $23 million less than it is this year.
Yeah.
Now, the way teams do this, and we all know this, is over the course of time, as the cap goes up, they kind of structure contracts to go up. Well, if the cap's going to go way down, then there's a lot. Like the Saints, for instance, have over $220 million committed to the cap next year. So you can kind of look around and be like, some of these teams, they got to do something to move money. They're going to have to. The Cowboys have an interesting cap situation next year. They should be fine. They're going to have to get Dak and his $37.7 million franchise tag. Right. They'll figure that out. Amari Cooper obviously will have a solid number next year. But outside of that, I don't know that there's somebody that you would want to move from this team other than like an Everson Griffin. God, if somebody wanted Tyrone Crawford, knock yourself out. But who's going to? Nobody wants. He's got a $9 million cap hit this year. Nobody's going to pay that for him.
Alden Smith might be interesting for somebody. But in general, they don't have a lot of pieces that they can move. So I think they'd love to move some. What you may see, and they've already done a lot of this, is restructuring more contracts where they create cap room next year, because they were kind of front and center on that a few months ago in terms of doing that. But I gotta tell you, man, it's almost time to start the draft series.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into that at some point and maybe look at moves that they might potentially make, because the trade deadline is next weekend. It's November 1st, which, believe it or not, I mean, Halloween's next weekend, and November 1st is next Sunday.
Jeez.
I mean, we're that close to it,
Came
So,
fast.
Yeah, it's coming up, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But we continue here live at Oak Highlands Brewery. So those of you, I know we got a lot of people just jumped on the chat. Those of you that are joining us for the first time, I mean, we're on location. We're going to do this every Friday here at Oak Highlands, which is in the Lake Highlands area of Dallas, off of 635 and Miller Road. You see all the tanks behind us. Getting a lot of comments in the chat. Now, we can't respond to every single one of you, but, I think it was Edwin who said, now I can see why you guys are not on television. And I don't know what that's supposed to mean, because I look damn good, and so do you.
I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, because I'm on Big Game Sunday with Newey Scruggs every Sunday night on Channel 5, NBC 5.
And
so, take that, bro.
Yeah, no, so somebody else wanted to see the ink. So this is the ink that I have on this arm here. So I'll show you since we're on the live. That's the Heady Topper logo, which is my favorite beer of all time right there. The guy drinking and the hops coming out of his head. And then this is, actually, I got this done like a while back, just a blue owl with the yellow rose for my mom. So
show me your tramp stamp.
I don't have one of those. Certainly do not have a tramp stamp. Dude, did you ever see, like, when you were single, because tramp stamps got popular probably when you were still single. Did you ever see those girls and you would see them? I think it was on Wedding Crashers, where it's like, man, you would see that. It's like a bullseye. Like, all right, well, because, I mean, come on. We all know in our minds, how would I see that?
Well,
I mean, there's an easy way.
When you move.
Right. and it's always like some weird, like barbed wire looking design or a butterfly or something.
Now let me shut up.
Maybe you should.
I was going to talk about the 3D image I saw once there. But I decided that would be left for, at some point, we haven't decided when, and it'll be like Halley's Comet. It'll be like the Blood Moon. We're going to do, what'd you call it? It's Podcast After Dark.
Oh yeah, where we drink,
and it'll be like instead of an E, it'll be like an XR, extra rated RE.
Yeah, like an NC-17 type thing.
Yeah, and so
like
it'll be
Elizabeth Berkley will show up and just spend the whole show with us naked. It'll be Showgirls the podcast.
Yeah, so I don't know when we'll do that, but we'll do that sometime during the holiday season.
That'd be cool. So again, guys, because several of you are asking about the radio thing, and we did a podcast addressing that, and we're trying to get better about posting stuff on YouTube, but our podcast, like the audio portion, we're dropping 3 episodes a week.
Minimum.
So minimum. You can find it all there, and we kind of went through that, but the ESPN thing ended, and you can hear us sporadically on the ticket. We were on last Sunday, not sure when we'll be on again, as far as radio. And look, it's awesome how many of you are expressing, man, I miss hearing you on the radio. It sucks I can't hear you on the radio. We love doing this. And
this is more fun. I got to tell you, it don't pay as good yet, but it's more fun.
Doesn't pay good. But not like radio paid great. But reality of it is we are looking for sponsors. Somebody was asking about that. How many sponsors? I think it was this guy's pool service. There you go. He says, how many sponsors do y'all need to get back on the radio? Well, that's not going to happen right now.
No,
and it may never happen again.
And we got to be honest with you. We ain't really interested in being back on the radio because we have discovered there's something freeing, something liberating about being your own boss. Like, you can sleep late if you want to. We can take dinner breaks whenever we want to, and we set our own schedule. But seriously, we enjoy doing this. We like the way we're doing. We're a little raw, a little more raw, a little edgier on the podcast. And so this is good. So trust us. We're good. We ain't interested in getting back on the radio. But we're going to make this thing work. So, and for that, we do need support from the people who listen to it and who like the show.
Yeah, we're going to have some T-shirts available for you guys and maybe some hoodies and stuff coming up pretty soon. If you want to help support Jam Session, which will be really cool, we'll let you know about that. We'll be launching a website maybe next week.
Let me see.
It'll be coming up pretty soon in the next, so just follow us on our social media and all that. And if you do own a local company and are interested in sponsoring us, we have a couple that have already come on board, which is really cool. But you're welcome to join that. We'd appreciate the support. You can shoot us an email at jamsessioncast@gmail.com, and I can give you some information on what we've put together for
I
that.
got 6 questions from the webmaster today, which means he's nearing the end. I think the goal is to have it up and running, ready to go on Monday.
Wow, really? That fast?
Yeah.
That's badass. God, that'll be great. So we will continue with you here on this version of the show, and we're going to be going live till about 6 o'clock. So we got about an hour and a half or so hanging out with you guys. Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your friends that are watching YouTube live. Hey, these dudes are doing it right now. You can jump on and see us. And we're going to get into some questions. A lot of you have questions here. We had a lot of people that had tweeted us some questions that they wanted us to get into. But we had some other things on the agenda. Now, we talked about the Cowboys going to Washington and whatnot, but I do think it's interesting because, if we take a quick look around the NFL,
right?
And I know some of you watching, many of you listening will tweet about this. Dez Bryant is back in the NFL. He signed with the Baltimore Ravens on their practice squad.
You know what I saw when I thought that?
What you thought when you saw that?
What I thought when I saw that. What I thought when I saw that is Predator HTO. So you're saying there's a chance. Now, some of y'all like, who the hell and what the hell is Predator HTO? I had a bet for a tomahawk steak at Nick and Sam's because that's what I'm ordering. I don't know what he's ordering. That's what I'm ordering. With Predator HTO, that Dez Bryant would catch fewer than 30 passes and 3 touchdowns this season. Now, that bet was in the bag until now.
So he needs about 3 catches a game if he becomes active. That's
but he's still on practice squad now, so he's probably not playing this week.
Yeah.
So it would take at least, that.
So that gets him to 7. So they have 9 games left, and he would need to get to 30. Yeah, so you're looking at a little over 3 catches a game.
Yeah. So we'll see, but you know what they did, though, man? They're going to unleash hell and Dez when they play the Cowboys.
But that's what, like a month away. And that's still a few games down the road, assuming that he makes the team and they call him up off the practice squad.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm just trying to bring some entertainment value to Dez getting signed.
You're trying to help people? And everybody's all excited about Dez. Like, hell yeah, Dez, this is great. I don't know, man. Look, this is one of those things where...
Hey, man, if he can play, more power to him.
I guess, more power to him. But can he play? That's the question that everybody wants to know. I have a hard time believing that a dude that hasn't played that long would jump out of nowhere, essentially, because, and we've talked about this before, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm keeping myself in great shape. I'm doing really well. I've done all these things. That's awesome. But once you jump up and you are actually into that event shape, that game shape, so to speak, that's a completely different thing.
No, you know, when you start dealing with elite athletes, the best of the best, you got to understand, Dez is in his 30s now. He was a guy who won with athleticism. That was his thing. It was athleticism. Well, 2.5 years off, that's going to rob anybody of their athleticism, man. So he's not as good an athlete now as he was at 30. He was never a great route runner, and so you're just trying to figure out how does he get and fit in. I see a role for him because he's going to be able to run that fade and maybe jump up a little bit, till the end of time. So it's can he execute the fade and can he make those types of plays? He can run a dig route. He might be able to still run a slant and go, but that's where he made his money at, those 3 routes. And I don't know, man. But hey, I like Dez, so I wish him well.
We'll see how that turns out. Now, elsewhere around the NFL, we did have a little Thursday night football action last night. And that featured what actually ended up being kind of a good game between the Eagles and the Giants. And the Giants the Giants should have won the game. But the Giants are so bad they couldn't get out of their own way.
The Giants are the Giants. Evan Ingram drops a perfect pass.
Don't talk to me about it.
Oh, was he on your fantasy team?
Yeah, he did give me 11 points yesterday, but yeah, I could have used more. I could have used that. I'm playing Juan this week in fantasy football.
Oh, really?
It's a battle. It's a heated battle between me and Juan in fantasy football.
I like that. No, Evan Ingram was wide open. He makes the catch, the game's over. He drops it. They punt. Eagles go down and score like you knew they would, given that set of circumstances. And, at that point.
It'll be interesting to see, man, because thanks. Excellent. You want a beer?
No.
No beer? Here it is. Cheers to all of you at home on your Friday happy hour and all you guys that are here at the brewery. Thanks for coming out. This is delicious. This, again, I was drinking the jalapeno, which I love, man. I love pepper beers, and this one is damn good. The jalapeno really comes through nice.
I've had it. It's tasty. I would recommend it. I didn't think I would like it, but it was fantastic.
I mean, if you like pepper beers. I was glad to see the Eagles win. Did you guys hear what I just said? I was glad to see the Eagles win because I want Dallas at this point to just go off the rails and try to finagle into a top 5 pick. And then somebody made a comment the other day that was like, oh, because they drafted so well recently. It's like, so you hate CeeDee Lamb? Pretty damn good choice, I thought.
Come on, man. You can't get caught up in that.
But it's if you go back and you look at their history in recent years of first-round picks especially, I get Taco Charlton pisses everybody off. I'm right there with you.
Okay, but now check it out. Taco Charlton pisses everybody off. That's fair. He went to Miami and was a bust. That's fair. He's not playing pretty good with Kansas City. And that's either because after being cut twice, he looked inwardly and said,
yeah,
perhaps if I would like to keep collecting these big checks and wearing these fancy shoes that he likes, perhaps I should pull my head out of my rear and play some football. Or, that's one reason, or he finally got to a place where he can find a coach who connects with him, however that is.
Could be.
And that dude connected with him, and now he's like, oh, what you say makes perfect sense. I mean, it happens sometimes, man.
It happens sometimes, I suppose. And we'll see, where this all ends up for the Cowboys. I have no idea. I mean, I really do believe you're teetering on the brink, especially if you lose to Washington and what that would do for the psyche of this team. Then you got to play a Philadelphia team that realizes you're down and wants to whip your ass. And then Pittsburgh's just going to, Pittsburgh will rip your head off and piss down your windpipe.
I think the question, if we're gonna have this discussion, let's just go the rest of the way with it. What does it take for Mike McCarthy to get fired?
God, man. Do you think they would eat that contract for real in the first year of a 5-year deal?
Here's the thing. And I told y'all this several weeks ago that I had lunch with somebody who used to work with the Cowboys, high-ranking person. All right? Had lunch with him. We talked about a range of things. And I would really honestly say only about 25% of that conversation was about the Cowboys. But one of the things this person said to me, though, was it's the culture. Putting butts in seats is the most important thing. And I was like, nah, man, winning is still the top. No, I was told this.
Yeah.
Putting butts in seats is our top priority. So here's the problem. If you lose enough games, and I don't know what that number is, but I know a number exists. If you lose enough games, what can you not do with Mike McCarthy? You cannot sell him because you can't. Football, whether it's Dallas, whether it's Buffalo, where my dad's a season ticket holder, wherever, football marketing is all about selling hope. This is a year in a league driven by parity, we can get to the Super Bowl. You can't sell Mike McCarthy at a certain number. I don't know what that number is. Is that number 2 wins? Like they lose their last however many, they don't win another game this year. Would that get him popped? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would.
Well,
if this team goes 2-14, then you eat it because Jerry's like, I'm rich. Let me eat this.
Okay, well then
I don't care if it's
3-13.
Yeah.
4-12.
That's where I'm thinking 4-12 because then you go, well, they didn't have Dak and they fought and they won a couple of games after they lost Dak.
See, this is what I'm getting at. It's about, see, this is what I was trying to write this column this week in the Dallas Morning News, is Mike McCarthy. We're going to find out a lot about Mike McCarthy this week, because, whether they win, whether they lose, how do they play? Did he reach them? Now, all the players poo-pooed Jane Slater's report about anonymous players talking about.
Of course
they
did.
all poo-pooed that. No, that's not true.
Right.
Okay, well, go out there and prove it. Go play. You don't even have to win. Just go play.
Yeah.
But see, we saying go play. All right. I'm just saying, based on what you've seen, I'm not exaggerating. Based on what you've seen, Matt, they've been behind at least 14 points in 5 consecutive games. They ain't coming back from a big deficit with Andy Dalton because they're going to turn their pass rush loose and it's going to get ugly. So I'm asking you, if you lose to Washington, a team that you don't think, I'm talking about from the Cowboys perspective, if you lose to Washington, a team you don't think is any good, because you don't,
right? And
you lose, let's just be a realistic blowout score, 28-12, 28-10.
To Washington.
Well,
somebody I would have fired Mike Nolan last week, but if that happens, then they need to fire. They have to at some point do something.
That it can go off the rails. It don't have to get fixed. You keep hearing that clink, 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 clink in your car. You go, it's not a big deal. Well, check engine light came. I poo-pooed that. I've seen check engine light come on 1,000 times. I've rode around with 500 miles.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom. Well, what was that? That sounded like that came from up under the hood. And you go out and you get it towed. And you say, oh, you just cracked the head. You need a new engine. Really? No.
I don't know, man. It's interesting because, and I've heard this, and a few of you guys on the YouTube Live are bringing this up as well. Well, it's a pandemic. They had no OTAs. They had no offseason. And I look at that and say, okay, fair. But at the same time, they had mass expectations. So of the 5 new head coaches that were coming in, obviously their expectations were higher than anybody else.
Well,
Stefanski's probably second on that list with the Browns.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. It's not like these other teams are having massive struggles just out of the blue. The Cowboys this is happening to them out of the blue. Like the Giants, nobody thought the Giants would be that great. We'd see what Joe Judge have. They lose Saquon Barkley. What are you going to do? But the Browns, other than getting their ass kicked by the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, and Baker had that rib thing going. The Browns came in here. How come the Browns could do that? They didn't have OTAs. They didn't have an offseason. Their coach is brand new.
I continue to say the same thing, man. Yes, it's not the pandemic per se, but it's the fact that you hired your homeboy, and there's nothing wrong with that. The NFL is full of nepotism and homeboy hirings. He hired his homeboy, Mike McCarthy did, and Mike Nolan. That's cool. The problem is trying to implement this uber complicated scheme without having the benefit of an offense. Because remember, the offense didn't really change a whole lot. They tweaked the offense. They didn't change it. They tweaked it. And that's why they come out the gate scoring 30 points and 500 yards. Now, they make a bunch of turnovers, but that ain't got nothing to do with the scheme. That's just you being sloppy or you making mistakes. So the offense got tweaked. They're doing great. The defense was an overhaul, a complete change. And there's a reason why it looks like trash.
Yeah, and see, that's to me why I thought it was interesting. Jerry's saying, oh, we're not going to make any changes, and Mike Nolan's still a defensive coordinator here, despite the fact that they're on pace to allow more points than any team in the history of the NFL ever. I mean, it's not even, they're on pace to allow like 120-ish more points than they've ever allowed in franchise history, but we're cool with that apparently. And that's, to me, like, you came in here knowing you don't have an offseason, you don't have OTAs, and you still allowed your defensive coordinator to change everything up. You're like, oh, they'll figure it out. And it's obvious when you watch the games, these dudes are confused and don't have a damn clue what they're supposed to do.
But not only change it up, but you're right. I mean, you say potato, I say potato. You say adult, I say adult.
There it is. Okay.
But whatever, man. They're trying to run a 3-4. They ain't got 3-4 personnel.
No, which is stupid. So to me, I look at that and go, okay, Mike Nolan, who hadn't been a defensive coordinator since Atlanta a couple of years ago, and he wasn't even that great. I mean, he's been a linebackers coach in New Orleans.
Right.
Because no other team wanted him to run their defense. But Mike McCarthy's like, oh, wait, you know who I know who's a genius defensive coordinator? Or maybe Mike McCarthy's doing a bit, and he's like, I wonder how long Jerry would keep a dude giving up record-breaking points every week.
I don't know, man, but it's
Because they're ridiculous, and it pisses me off. It's a Friday. We're drinking, and you got me pissed off.
Hey, man, we just having a conversation about because I was having this conversation last night with a couple of my boys. What's the number? If
they go 2-14, I hope that the NFL forces them to sell the team and completely blows up the frame. If they go 2-14, I'm done.
No, you're not.
I know.
Yeah,
In the moment, I want to say I'm done, but
you're
it.
not. See,
It's like
the problem is you gotta be able to sell hope. 2-14 is going to be hard to sell hope. But the other problem is, and you raised the issue, but you didn't know the answer. Jerry, like a lot of dudes, is a rich, cheap guy. Okay? He ain't trying to eat the contract, for whatever it is, $5 million, $6 million a year for the next 4 years. He's not trying to do that. Doesn't mean he won't, but he would exhaust every opportunity. Yeah. Now, he might do one of these things. Hey, man, I know it's your homeboy. He got to go. Him and everybody on that defensive staff got to go. That's the only way you keep your gig. And so Mike McCarthy in that situation would probably be like, all right, cool.
I think it's going to happen before the end of the year because they don't like negative. Like once it's all like whatever station you're listening to us, whatever it is, when it's all negative, they don't like that.
That's why, as I wrote in the morning news this week, this to me is the game. Like,
because they're not dumb. They know it's like everybody talking about it and writing about it. They get that they're saying the truth, but the reality of it is, well, if we could win a couple of games, that negativity will go away.
Well, yeah.
But when it's constant after a month, if they lose, if they allow Washington to score 28 points, because Washington is averaging 18 points a game. If Washington puts up 28 or 30 points against Dallas, I fire Mike Nolan in Washington, go get a Greyhound bus back to Dallas.
You say that.
Hell, I got let go, and we did a damn good job at our job. And this clown gets to keep his job, giving up 36.3 points a game.
But it's not. See, that's the simple answer.
I get heated.
The real answer is it ain't all him. The offense don't. It's
ridiculous.
Help. It's a collective effort, but they don't buy. Anytime a coach has to keep telling you, "Hey, the players buy in," I'm sure of it. It means that they don't, because we wouldn't have to keep having this conversation if they did.
Yeah, there's a problem.
When your relationship is good. Does your girl come around? Do you love me? How much do you love me? Why do you love me? Hell no. When it's good, you go on about your business. When it's bad, it's 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
Why do you remember the first time? It's all these questions. Why? Insecurities, man.
It's rough, dude.
It's the same thing out there. Mike answering all these questions because he knows they don't buy in. And you can try to lie to yourself and say that they do. They don't.
Plus, you have a double name, Mike Nolan. Come on. So you have a last name that's a first name? You can't trust people like that. All right. So again, I'm seeing somebody was asking, where are we at? We're at Oak Highlands Brewery. Oak Highlands is located in the Lake Highlands area of Dallas, which is it's Miller and 635 or Plano Road and 635, where they intersect Miller and Plano. Oak Highlands is like right here. It's right off of 635. We're going to be here until 6 o'clock. Maybe hang out a little bit afterwards as well. And we're going to be here every Friday afternoon from 4 until 6 o'clock for your Friday happy hour, doing a live show on YouTube, on Instagram Live, and whatever else we can figure out to live with.
Okay, now I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
We should get on Chatterbait and do a live show on there. But not do naked.
No, I'm good.
I wonder if anybody would watch.
I'm good. I'm not going there.
We just leave our clothes on.
Yeah. I'm not going there.
Yeah, so that's where we're at, Oak Highlands Brewing. They got some really good beers. Freaky Deaky, probably for those of you that are into beer, is a Belgian triple. It is probably their most well-known beer, and one of the best styles of that beer, really in the state of Texas. It's very good, but they do a lot of really good European styles, and they have a couple IPAs on tap. So if you get a chance, come check them out.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed the jalapeno beer.
That's what I'm drinking. Jalapeño. You don't want a beer today?
No.
You had too much yesterday?
Yes. I'm not going to be a fat guy, so I'm not going to be drinking beer all day, every day with Matt.
That's okay.
I'm just not. So I had a feel yesterday.
I just accepted at some point that, you know what it was? I bumped into somebody once outside of a bar, and we didn't know each other. And it was some girl. She goes, "Why?" And I said, "Oh, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you." She goes, "You're flabby." And I was like, "Oh my, you know what? I am flabby." And I was like, I'm cool with being flabby. Like, I'm in good shape. I work out regularly. I burn off a lot of beer, but I don't have a six pack. I'm not ripped or anything.
Right.
I mean, obviously, people on YouTube, I mean, you can tell.
Well, so much of this is about genetics, man. You know, how your genetics treat you.
It is.
And mine don't treat me good. So
it's like with my brother, Chris, like, what, are you adopted? You're 38 years old and have like a six pack and looks like you know, one of your parents mated with a horse, I guess.
Wow. Some people get blessed, man. And since I was not one of those people blessed in that area, he was very generous to me in other areas though. And so I'm going to limit my beer consumption. And yesterday,
awesome.
I had a bunch of sips that you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I went home and I calculated it. I was like, that's way too much. Because
if you're gonna do that with craft beer, you'll never drink it. Like, you just got to enjoy it and drink it and enjoy.
That's what happened. I wasn't sipping because I was just sipping because I was tasting different things. But I looked up, man. I was like, that was probably 8 ounces in that one. That was probably 4. I had halves of those and threes. I said I probably drunk 2.5 beers yesterday. I said way too much for your boy. No.
You had a few yesterday. We did the podcast yesterday at Odd Muse Brewing, which is in Farmers Branch, and is a really, really cool place that has some really good hazies and stouts and stuff. So,
and then I took some home.
Yeah, you grabbed a couple of 4-packs of Black is Beautiful from their version, which they did it with local coffee, and they really got it roasty. So it's actually really good.
That's terrific.
But as we continue here with you on the Jam Session podcast, and again, available on YouTube Live. I know many of you are watching there. You can watch us on YouTube. We're also available wherever you get your podcasts. For those of you that are like, where'd you guys go? We've been doing 3 episodes a week, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yesterday's the episode that dropped today was 2.5 hours. And we're going to keep it going, man. And we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and we'll keep you guys in tune with that. If you're not following us on Twitter, I would encourage you to, because you can keep track of what we got going on there really easily. At McMatt Radio, at JJT_journalist. And we're always posting stuff on there with the latest podcasting and things like that. Sucky Sports Karaoke, a lot of you are asking about that in the chat. We do have plans at some point to bring it back.
Who is that? The webmaster asked me about it today because of some stuff he's doing with the website.
But it's
logistically, it's a little...
Yes.
It's just a matter of figuring out the logistics. It's a little more difficult. And we're trying to figure out if we got all the equipment to do it. And, because it's not just the singing, it's the pithy repartee.
Yeah, and it's like some of the things that we're doing, and a lot of you guys have asked, like, you need another camera, a different angle, all that stuff. At some point, we're slowly trying to build this and acquire it, and I said,
our director of creative content, Brian Hart, with us.
Right,
he was blowing us up last night. Hey, man, I found a new camera. Why don't y'all get this camera, man? I know how the camera works, man. Camera it'll be so good. Y'all look so good in the camera.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Again, keep in mind, 2 weeks ago was when the show ended on the radio. And so then we launched the podcast, and, we've upgraded our equipment, and some of it's just hit and miss. Like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. All right, how do we do this that we did on the show? Can we do that in a podcast version where we're recording at my house for the most part, and then live on location at places. And so some of it's just figuring that out, which we will. And every day that goes by, especially the video stuff. I mean, I've been in radio my whole life, and I've never really done much with video. So that has taken a lot of time of learning, and it's hit and miss. You screw up, and then you're like, okay, well, don't do that again. Which is why some of our podcasts, if you listen to them, some of the sound on it, like, okay, we messed that up. Why? And then you go back, you say, all right, well, this is what happened, and then we correct it.
Yeah, but it's all fun.
Yeah, it's great. I love doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, and we talked about this, and like somebody goes, Matt, cuss, or he said, say this 12-letter cuss. I was like, dude, we're in public right now. Now, on the Beer Geeks podcast, I did say the F word, and then I felt bad because some old lady heard me, and I was like, man, but I don't know if there's kids in here, around here, or whatever. And it's, like when you do it in public, it's a little different because, like, I've always seen censorship, and this is an interesting conversation.
I'll be the judge of that. Because
censorship, I'm not a fan of it, but in a sense of, if you choose to listen to the podcast and you are choosing, and there's an E next to it that says explicit, that there's explicit language in it. So then you are choosing to expose yourself to that content. The people that are walking in a setting like this, now some of these guys here are here to hang out and do this, which is great, but not everybody here is. And so to me, it's unfair to put that in front of them when they aren't necessarily choosing to sit in here and be a part of this. You know what I mean?
That falls in line for me personally with like cigarette smoke. Like you choose to smoke, that's fine. But even if you're outside,
if you like it so much, why do you blow it away from you? Do this, blow it down your shirt, blow it on you.
Then you got me with it, but I didn't choose that. So it's the same type of thing.
Yeah, anyway. And it's, you know, it's one of those things. I've been in radio for so long that I love the uncensored format. And it's just like, look, I cuss when I normally talk in conversation with friends and people like that. And then somebody once goes, well, you wouldn't cuss in front of your son. And I was like, no, I wouldn't. But it's called adult language. Like, to me, I always think it's weird. Those are bad words. No, I disagree. I think there's a lot of words that are way worse to use than the F word or the S word or stuff like that. You know, like personally.
Well, I'm trying to think about myself because I was cursing with my son today.
Well, that's different because your son's older. My son's 9.
Oh, you didn't cuss around when I'm trying to think.
Well, it's happened. I think
he got some dams and some S's.
It's been in traffic or whatever, and then I was like, I can't, and I'll never forget one time I said the F word when I was probably 15 or 16 in front of my grandma, and my grandma told my dad, and my dad was pissed. He was pissed, and so he told me, and he was really upset about it. And he said, you don't know what that word means. You don't know the impact of what it is. You have no idea what it means. You're too young to know what it means. So until you understand what it is, you don't need to be using it.
Right.
And at some point in my life, I guess I started to realize that was true. It's like I tell my son, like sometimes I'll say something in front of him. I probably shouldn't. Dad, you said a bad word. I was like, I didn't say a bad word. I used an adult word that you don't need to use because you're not an adult. And that's how it's adult language.
All right.
Adult language. I say adult. He says adult. I don't know.
What do y'all say? Because I think adult is like.
What do you guys
improper.
Say? Do you say adult? Adult?
Is there any adults in here? See, I don't think so.
Why do I say adult?
I don't know. Because you're
seriously
Matt McMoron.
Okay. That's adult.
You say aunt or aunt?
Aunt. But I know it's aunt. But that sounds weird. That sounds like English people would say that.
Hello,
have
aunt.
you met my aunt? I call him Aunt. I'm like my Aunt Sissy.
All right.
I don't know what that is. Yeah, that's a weird one.
I'm not judging for it.
Yeah, but that's my thoughts about words and how to use them and where to use them and all that stuff, man. I mean, it's, in a controlled environment like the podcast is, then yeah, we talk like we talk. In a public setting of this nature where there's a lot of people around, and I know because this is a neighborhood brewery, I've been here before and there could be kids running around, and I would get irritated if somebody was just blatantly screaming the F word when my son was around. But dude, come on,
Now me, I don't really curse on the radio. I feel uncomfortable with it.
You said it the other day, and I edited it out of the podcast.
Yeah, I know. Then I was mad. I say,
were you really? You know why I did? Because you did it, and it just seemed so blatantly on purpose to me.
I did do it on purpose.
I know. I was like, I don't know if it fits there.
All right. See.
So I just chopped it out.
That's what happens. I don't have no editorial
Plus, I didn't
control.
know if you meant to do it, and I didn't know if you been so iffy about cussing on the podcast, and I'm not.
That's why it was funny to me.
And I told my mom, because my mom goes, my ladies' friend mom was if there's going to be a lot of vulgar language, I'm probably not going to listen much. And I was like, that's fine. And even my mom, who I don't cuss in front of, my mom was, well, if you have some episodes that have a little bit more of it, then let me know what parts, and I'll skip those parts. Like, whatever. I mean, you live with my dad. My dad cusses more than I do, probably.
Doesn't matter, man.
All right, but we're going to continue here because as we did on the radio show, we took the trip around the block on a daily basis. And of course, Jacques and I grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth. We like talking about local things, local stories. That's still continuing, which is why we ask, if you have local businesses, we can use your help, man. We can use your sponsorship help, and you can shoot us an email and we can get you some information on that. jamsessioncast@gmail.com.
For just another few days, then we're changing emails.
Yeah, and then it'll be something else. But whatever, and we'll fix that. But
yeah,
look at all these people on here that
then
say it that way. Oh, there's a guy. He says it like me, adult.
Well, what's wrong with y'all?
Thanks, George. Me and you are friends.
Yeah, you must be from Rockwall.
Because Rockwall people say it. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
If anybody's watching from Rockwall, I mean, Juan grew up in Rowlett. He doesn't say it like that. But that's because he grew up.
I'm a good side of the tracks.
He grew up across the lake.
Woo! Across the lake.
If you grow up across the lake, we look down at you.
Whatever.
No, for real. Like growing up, this is how snobby Rockwall could be. because there is a portion of the Rockwall School District that is in Rowlett, but it's
Really?
Dow Rock is the dividing line. And if you live, like you could live on the other side of the lake, but be in Rockwall ISD. And man, I felt like when I was in high school, kids would give those kids so much crap because they'd be like, oh, you're on the other side of the lake, but you go here, huh? I was like, really? I dated a girl that lived on the other side of the lake. She was hot. Wait, no, that was Devil Girl. Nope, never mind. Different story. All right. So we're going to continue because we have some stories from the block. And so here we are. Local guys talking about local things. It's time for what is becoming our daily trip around the block.
I think going around the block daily is fine.
So we have this, which I thought, I saw this in the headline. I was like, what? It says Rockwall girl killed in crash after they steal a truck. And so I start reading this article, and it's a pair of Rockwall. Okay, what are you buckeyeing this now? You're disinterested in my story. Oh, we got a Gators fan. Watch out. So this girl that lives in Rockwall, they were in Rowlett. They steal a truck. They lead police on a chase in the middle of the night, and for those of you that in that area, Chandler's Landing, they ended up going too fast around a curve, fly off the road, smash through somebody's backyard. The car bursts into flames. The girl driving burns, and the other chick in the car is able to escape and get out. How crazy is that?
She didn't stay?
I mean, she didn't stay. The car's on fire.
I mean,
what are you supposed to do? Like, I'm burning. Oh, so is my friend. I guess I'll burn too. No, and the other girl, apparently she couldn't get out. She was trapped. Hopefully she was unconscious. I was hoping, I hope she was unconscious.
When does that?
Now, look, you stole a truck, so.
You shouldn't die for stealing a truck. There are worse crimes for that.
No, but I thought this prompted a thought in my head when I was young, and before we moved to Rockwall, we lived in Plano. And when I was in elementary school, we lived at 3617 Sailmaker in Plano. So if you want, you can go see my childhood home. Go knock on the door. But we were living there, and so we lived like the way that the road went from Coit was there was a curve, and then our house was kind of like on the straight part. And one night, some dude apparently was drunk and didn't make the curve and went right through the living room of a home on our street. And I'll never forget it because, you woke up the next morning and there's a car that had smashed through the front of a house, like the bricks and all that. Now, fortunately, they were asleep, so nobody was in the living room. So nobody, and the person driving the car was, I think, went to the hospital. They didn't die or anything.
You know, that sparks a thought with me. I've wanted to know what happened to this dude forever. So now I'm going to say this story.
All right.
And then I'll probably find out what happened to him. When I was about somewhere around 9 to 11, I was playing soccer, Oak Cliff Soccer League, all the games at Keys Park. Played for this, I never was on a good soccer team until I was in high school.
You were goalie, weren't you?
Yep. And my whole thing was the Stingrays were the best organization. You had the Red Devils, you had the Golden Eagles. Those are the three dominant organizations. You had some other ones that came and went. And I finally got on the Stingrays. Okay, finally, I'm on a good team. We were the only bad team in the Stingrays organization. I mean, it's depressing. But we had I want to say he was a goalie at the time, so I was probably playing fullback. But his name was Wade. I can't remember his last name.
Bowen?
I can't remember his last name.
Texas country guy.
But his name was Wade. But
Boggs?
Shut up. He got hit by a car.
Phillips?
In front of I want to say it was like a Jack in the Box. And got pinned in there and lost his legs. And I always wondered what happened to him. Because obviously
both of them?
Yeah, I think so.
Like he has fake legs?
I don't know what happened to him.
God, this is.
I know he survived.
We're about to have a great conversation.
But I don't know what happened to him. And I think he was I'm pretty sure we were like 10 or 11. So there's my story. Like, he got hurt, but I don't know what happened to him. Why, do you know him?
No, I don't know him. This guy says Wade Jennings. I was like, I don't know. We don't know who he is.
I don't either. I can't remember his last name.
First name was Wade. Yeah, that's interesting.
There can only be so many guys named Wade who lost
it's interesting.
one or two legs in a car accident in Oak Cliff in front of like a Jack in the Box.
Maybe this guy knows. I mean, maybe he's serious about Wade Jennings. I don't know. But, it's interesting because I knew a dude once in theater that didn't have one of his legs. It was amputated at the knee.
Yes.
And in theater, like you change and stuff, like the guys generally, and the girls will have different changing rooms, but you change and all that in front of each other and you get ready for the show. And this dude, and I don't know why, it fascinated me because he would lube up his nub before he slipped it into his prosthetic leg.
Yeah, so it doesn't get all.
Yeah, and I don't know, I couldn't not watch it. It was like this, I don't know what it was. Like he would shoot lotion on it or whatever and just lotion his nub and then nuzzle it into his leg. And I was like, man, that's crazy to me.
Why? I mean, you guys.
I don't know. I've thought about that before. Like, I'd probably rather lose a leg than an arm if you had to lose a limb.
Yes, prosthetics are so good. Nah,
I think like mine. If it's like, look, you have to lose one of your limbs or something horrible is going to happen. I would choose, all right, my left leg.
Okay.
Because you drive with your right, and then you wouldn't have to learn how to use that, and you need your hands for a variety of reasons.
All right, that makes perfectly legitimate sense. No, I had one of the lovely Lorraine's friends has a prosthetic leg, and so I mean they were friends for so long. It was like,
remember in Sopranos where that one chick that Tony was hooking up with, the maid or whatever, the blonde girl had a prosthetic leg and they stole it one episode. Remember that?
That's what? No.
Yeah, because it was Janice's sister wanted her to move out of the house or something. I forget. And so they stole her fake leg and she had to hop everywhere.
Okay, we're about to have a moment of truth here. Have we not discussed this?
You've never seen this? Oh my God! What the? What? I thought you had.
I've never Sopranos guy.
You've never seen The Sopranos?
Nope.
Dude, you have. Oh my! I've seen the whole thing 3 times. We need to do it.
I mean, I've seen.
Hell, I listened to the podcast Talking Sopranos with Bobby and Christopher.
A few shows, but I couldn't tell you any character outside of Tony and whatever his wife's name is.
Carm.
Is that who she is?
Carmela.
I know her from Nurse Jackie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I don't.
That is wild, man, because you like The Wire a lot, and it's that same type of like, Sopranos is really what opened up everything to become, because nobody had done that type of almost cinematic episodic television before.
I don't have a good reason why. What did they come? I'm being serious. I don't know. Did it come on Sunday nights or something?
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah.
See, I'm being serious. I was probably doing Cowboys every single
makes sense.
night.
But now it's everywhere. Like it's available literally all over the place.
Well, yeah, no, now, but for you to get into it, you got into it for most people when it was coming on, right? And then once it stopped coming on, what happened to that? I now see myself where I didn't see myself before, and it's kind of weird. That's probably what our director of creative content was doing.
Well, there you go.
So the point is, I never got into it when it was hot. It'd be like somebody saying, hey, go watch Game of Thrones. Okay, it's over. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll get around to it, maybe I won't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really, really, really good. I mean, it's all about character development. It's really well written. It's very similar to Breaking Bad in the development of the main character.
I don't have a good reason why I haven't seen it.
It's really good, man. I mean, it's some of the best writing, and going back through and watching The Wire again, like we are right now, the writing is just, and what's interesting is I think it's Terry Winter is a guy that was with.
So what episode?
Yeah, I'll have one. Jalapeño. Yeah, thanks, man.
What? Yeah. You're just now starting season 2 on The Wire?
Yeah. So we haven't gotten into the doc season again, but I'm actually really interested to watch it and to see if I appreciate the docs more than I did originally because I hated it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's that type of television. Like a lot of the shows that we enjoy today were possible because of the success of The Sopranos. Like they shot the pilot and they didn't know if anybody would pick it up.
Right.
And so it took them, it was almost, I think it was 9 or 10 months later that they found out they were going to pick up the show after the pilot was shot. And then they came out and, you listen to these guys talk about it. It was really interesting because nobody knew who they were. They could go anywhere and film wherever. And people were like, what is this? And then after season 1, they couldn't go they overnight fame. And it's fascinating too, because it's in a sense where it was written very realistically. Like it's written about, it's more about family and that type of integration than it is about
family dynamic more than it is the mob per se, right?
It is.
I mean, it's about the mob, but it's the family dynamics.
And really, it's the first time that the mob was ever presented in that sense, because it's real. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, we know about it. We love the mob. I mean, like if you're in the mob, we love you. But it's one of those things where the mob is all you ever hear about is, oh, these guys kill these guys. Well, those guys that do this, they go home to their wife and kids and their families, you know, and so they really showed and that's what, you know, it might be the first show that I can recall where Tony Soprano was not a good person. He murdered people, he did drugs, he cheated on his wife constantly, he did all these bad things, and yet you were almost rooting for him.
I think that's they figured out how to make this mean, incorrigible guy a human figure, and so you see, you know, because then you can relate to his human frailties, and even though he does all this bad stuff, I mean, it's almost like the Stockholm syndrome thing, because you see it all, you can rationalize why. Well, you know, I mean, if he did that, I mean, he only whacked that guy to save his business. Yeah,
it's really it's one of those things where, you know, like Breaking Bad was like that for me, because like I understood it, and I thought Breaking Bad, like the idea that you've been diagnosed with terminal cancer, you have this opportunity because of skills and knowledge that you already have to essentially create a drug empire that will leave your family millions, but it's all illegal, and in the process you're going to have to kill people to do it, even though you're going to die, you think, from terminal cancer. And so I've always thought that was a really interesting thought, because I wondered, I understood Walt, to me, because Walt was a guy, you know, he started out as like this kind of like weak high school chemistry, like afraid of things. And then he was so, to me, driven by wanting to make sure his family was going to be okay, that he did all these bad things. And I've always thought, I can get that. Like, that actually makes sense to me. Now, would I go to that extreme? I don't know. I suck at science. I couldn't create blue meth.
Right.
You know, but if I had an opportunity to make a bunch of money for my family, I know I could free and clear it. And I had to do some things that were illegal. I'm kind of like, and then but then he became, I still to this day, Walt White's my favorite television character ever, because I feel like the transformation of him.
He got intoxicated by the power.
Yeah, because he became, I mean, from episode 1 to where he ended up.
With the tighty whities.
I mean, he became Heisenberg. He became that guy.
But see, he became that guy because he was such a weak, mild-mannered, nobody, kick sand in your face dude.
Yeah.
And once he started getting a taste of power, he's like, oh my God, this is great.
God, this is so crazy. We started off talking about cars crashing into homes and ended up going off on the Breaking Bad and Sopranos. But they're great shows. I mean, you guys know. A lot of people in the chat are like, hell yeah, that's awesome. So the other thing I wanted to bring up here in our trip around the block here on the Jam Session podcast.
It's more on the block.
No. Yeah, I've got another cool story, because I think this is a cool show. And again, if a lot of you, I think, are joining the chat now, and we're at Oak Highlands Brewing, which is in Lake Highlands, part of Dallas. It's off of Miller Road and 635. We'll be here every Friday from 4 until 6 o'clock. So you can kind of come hang out, try some good beers, and they're brewing some really good stuff. You know, they don't do the hazies. They don't do the new trendier stuff. What they do is more of the European style, you know, like the Belgians that I was talking about that they have. I was trying to see what else they have on right now. Like DF Dub is a really good beer. Their Golden Mustache is good. They got a couple of different Kolsch's, you know, if you're into Kolsch's, which I'm usually not, but this one is really good because it has jalapeno in it. But it's a cool place, good people, spacious area. Normally on Fridays, they have a fish fry as well, where you can have some food and stuff, but the dude canceled the day because the weather went, you know, got super cold, and I guess he didn't want to show up. Now, that being said, Smoothie King, smoothie place.
I'm a big fan of Smoothie King. You got good news or bad news?
They will be featured on Undercover Boss tonight on the new episode of Undercover Boss. And you're like, well, who cares? I didn't know they're based in Coppell. Yeah, it's a Coppell-based company that originally this dude started in South Korea and launched it and grew it to like over 100 stores in 7 years. They were headquartered in Louisiana, and 2 years ago they moved to Texas to take over their headquarters here. So their CEO's name is Juan Kim, and he is going undercover. And one of the stories he goes undercover to is in Addison.
Oh, wow.
And I always think this is interesting because that show is fascinating to me, because I want to be like, I wish Mary Berner had gone undercover at Cumulus.
Right.
And then I could tell her some sob story. And at the end, she'd be like, well, I'm going to give you $50,000. I'm like, this is great. Thank you so much, Mary. You know, because I'd tell her, I'd be like, remember when you posted that thing about how much the company appreciates talent? And then like a week later, I lost my job in Birmingham. And then remember that time when we posted the highest ratings in 7 years at ESPN that you could go back and look up, and then like 2 weeks later we lost our job. Remember those times?
Right.
And maybe she'd go, wow, that's incredible. Here's $50,000. No, but I do like the premise of the show,
right?
You know, where they go undercover. I think most people know about the show. You know, we watched the one about Fridays a couple of weeks ago because I waited tables at Fridays, you know, back in the day, which is another great story. And because this is a podcast, we can talk about whatever we want. There's no breaks. I'll tell you the story. So I had to get a job. We left. My parents moved from Aledo. They were living in Aledo. They built a house out there and they moved. And I was living at their house when I left college.
Right.
And then they sold the house. And so like, well, obviously I can't stay here. So I called my dad. I was like, hey, can you co-sign an apartment for me? He goes, no. I go, why not? He goes, go get a job. I said, Dad, like I need an apartment. I need a place to live. He goes, I guess you need a job. I was like, okay. And it pissed me off, man. I didn't understand. Now I do. But at the time I didn't realize. I was like, I can't believe it. Like just all I need is you to co-sign so I can get this lease.
Okay. Were you the responsible kid or the irresponsible kid?
I was responsible, but he was saying, I'm not just going to pay for you to live. So go get a job, prove to me that you can accomplish this and have some income. And then because I couldn't, get apartment I had to have a co-signer at that point in my life. Right. And he's like, yeah, then I'll sign for you. And so I said, okay. And the reason why I was irritated was because I found an apartment that would give me a really good deal, but you had to sign like within 24 hours of looking at the apartment. I told my dad, he goes, sounds like you got to get busy. And I was like, man, I went out that day. I went to like all these, because I was living in Fort Worth. I went to all these restaurants in the Hewlin area of Fort Worth. I went to Bennigan's and Chili's and Applebee's. And then I walk into Fridays and they hired me on the spot.
See, your dad was right.
And I go out, dude. I went out to the car, called my dad and said, I'm faxing you, because back then you faxed. I go, faxing the papers, just got a job. He goes, all right then.
What do you need me to do?
And sure enough, I worked at Fridays off and on for a couple of years, while I was getting first into radio. And I used to wait tables during the week and go do overnights at a radio station on the weekends.
Really?
Oh, dude, there's some times where I was like, man, what am I doing? I would wait tables until like 10 o'clock at night and then leave and go straight to the radio station and do an overnight shift until 6 o'clock in the morning, sleep for a few hours, and then go do a double on Saturday at Friday so I could make money to pay rent. And then go do the overnight again the next night at the station.
Wow. I was never about that life.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, it was, that's a wild story, but true.
That's how bad do you want it story.
Yeah. And you had to have it, but yeah, I thought that was cool. Undercover Boss, my son likes it.
Well, that's because he likes the aspect probably of being sneaky and people not knowing who you are while you know everything about them.
Yeah, I think so. He wanted to watch one about some fishing company. And I was like, you don't want to watch that. Who even knows who these people are? But when they have stuff like Smoothie King, which is local, or like Fridays, which is another local thing.
And I'm a big fan of them. They're a little too expensive, but yeah, I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah, Smoothie King has some good stuff. So there you go. That is our trip around the block. So thanks for enjoying that one. We always have fun. So this is where the podcast gets crazy because I really got to pee. And so I got to go pee.
All right. Well, I'll tell my Peloton story. Bye.
All right. So Jacques going to tell his Peloton story because this isn't like being on a radio station. There's no breaks. You got to sit here. Yeah. I had a thing of water before we sat down. I've had a couple of beers.
Just turn around and.
All right. So I'm not going to pee in the bottle we're on YouTube.
That's it. Turn around.
That's illegal.
All right. Let me tell you about my Peloton story.
I'll be back in a while.
It's live YouTube, I guess so. And there he goes. So anyway,
always make sure to have your mask.
Peloton, the exercise bike, it's kind of all the rage these days. And I'm not an exercise bike guy. I like to lift. I like to jump rope. Not really a big exercise bike guy. But since we're in the midst of a pandemic, everything's changing. Everybody's got to adjust, adapt, improvise. You got to figure out what you're going to do. So for a while, I was working out in my garage. And then I went back. I mean, I did that for like 6 months. Me and my boy, Cornell, who is a local chiropractor in DeSoto. So I can say that because he's my boy. We doing our thing in the garage. And he's always telling me about these Peloton rides. And then I've got other friends who are on Peloton. And he lives in a high-rise downtown. Yes, I told you it was chiropractor. So at the high rise, they've got some Pelotons in the workout room. Rides on Saturday morning. So we did a couple rides there, and it was cool. But over the last few weeks, for some reason, I got more and more interested in it because I was looking for a way to eliminate any and all excuses for not working out. Because sometimes you don't need much of an excuse not to work out. Plus, I was looking for some alternatives to jumping rope. I like jumping rope, but I've been doing it for like 5, 6, 7 years now. So sometimes you want something a little different. And as I was thinking about it, now all the fellas know where I'm going with this. The lovely Lorraine, her favorite thing to do is spin class. Since the gym's closed, she started walking around the neighborhood. I can see where this is going. Okay? The fellas can feel me on this. I know the fellas know where this is going. All right. When it get cold, do y'all really think she's gonna be walking outside in the cold? No. All right, not gonna happen. So what's gonna happen if she's not walking outside in the cold? She ain't gonna be getting no workout in. Okay. If she ain't getting no workout in, what's going to happen? She's going to gain weight. It's just simple. All right. If you don't work out at something, you gain some weight, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. It doesn't matter because it's all her perspective. And then if she gains weight, what's going to happen? She's going to be mad.
Died.
And then who's going to suffer?
Oh, well.
Your boy. So I said, let me be proactive about this thing. If I get her a Peloton, then she'll enjoy it because she can ride it. And then the rest of the family can use it too. Because, as many of you know, if you listen to the show, my dude, linebacker at DeSoto, which is why I'm leaving here at 6 o'clock. I don't care how long Matt stays because they play Waxahachie at the crib tonight. So I go, he needs a scope. I was like, dude, you can do bikes while you getting and stay in cardio shape after you have your scope. So I got it all figured out. So I get the Peloton, man, and I got to tell you, man, I didn't know what to expect, but I like the Peloton more than I thought I would because I don't like to work out by myself, and I don't like to work out at the house. Let me rephrase.
Do they like yell and scream at you when you're on the thing? Like, keep it up, come on. Or
no, because I don't like that either.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Now they do talk a lot, but it's much more of a hey, if you can add a couple more points to your resistance, do it. Come on, you've done the hard part. This is the easier part. They're like that. Now they can be annoying, whatever. But the thing I like about it is they got so many classes that it's really impossible to say I don't have time to work out. I mean, it really is. They got a 15-minute high-intensity interval training HIIT class. Dude, today was the first day I could do the class at all the resistance levels that it asked you to do at the speed it asked you to do it. One of the things I like about Peloton, this is how they do the class if you haven't been in. This is why I like it.
By the way, it sounds like somebody from Peloton needs to pay us.
Yeah, they probably should. But
Jeez.
a lot of people got it. But it's they got one thing where your resistance should be, let's say, between 40 and 55. That way it reminds me of Camp Gladiator. Like, do at your own pace.
I got you.
And if you're in really great shape, you're at 55, and if you're not, you're at 40. And then it tells you your speed should be between like 90 and 110. So again, if you're really fast, you're at 110 and 55 if you're in optimal shape, and if you're not, you're at the back end of both. But I think the thing about it is, man, I was going to the kitchen the other day, and I stopped because the bike was talking to me. It was like, what you doing, dog? Are you going because you're hungry? Are you going out of habit? Or you going to eat something you shouldn't eat? I was like, dude, leave me alone. I'm just going to poke around. Poke around for what, man? I'm sitting right here. You come ride me, dog. And so, this is a true story, man. I turned around out the kitchen. I said, you get on my damn nerves.
To the bike?
Yeah, I mean, you talk to yourself. I talk to the bike.
All right.
And I went and put my stuff on, man.
At least myself has like emotion.
And I went and did a 30-minute ride. And I felt better. But that's the sickness, man. That's what happens. And so now I got a new workout routine. My new routine, I did today, so I'm very happy. I mean, I've been trying to do it, but today I did it right, which is I go work out with my boy in the morning, 5:30 to 6:30. Get home about 6:45, 7 o'clock, whatever. Come in, hang out for about 10 minutes, hop on the bike, do a 20-minute HIIT ride, and then I'm done.
Yeah, it's, they're obviously extraordinarily popular for a reason. I think now they do like Peloton treadmills and stuff too.
Yeah, I don't like to run.
Yeah.
You might like that, but I just like it because they got a bunch of different classes, a bunch of different instructors. And then now I got people like, hey, I'm riding tonight. You want to ride? It's kind of weird.
A Friday night?
I told him I wouldn't. I was busy.
Yeah.
But, but it's a way to
gotta drink some brewskis.
It's a way to keep in touch with people, and it's a way to stay in shape. And it's a little different. And now here's a drawback. Me and my son's a little bit taller than me, basically the same height. Lovely Rain's tall, basically the same height. I'm a little taller. My daughter's a little shorter. So guess what? So I looked at the bike this morning, Matt. I go, hey. And she just happened to be by. I said, hey, why is there a fourth profile on this bike? And she said, oh, I rode it yesterday. I said, oh. Did you enjoy it? She said, no, it was way too hard. I said, all right.
Yeah, you would expect that. Jeez.
After she left, I got on the bike. And I did the Matt McLaren. I started screaming and cussing. You know why? She didn't change the seat back. Handlebars gone.
Yeah, it's like being in a car.
Back. I mean, like, what are you doing?
That's one of the reasons why I don't like my lady friend to drive my car, because she messes up the seat and it takes me forever to get it back to where it was.
Yeah.
But if you have money in a good life, then they have cars where you can program in 2 different settings.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so you got that. I don't have that. But yeah, apparently you can push a button and then it goes back to the settings for the one person. Fancy.
Yeah.
See, I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe the podcast life will bring that to us.
Let's hope so.
Who knows?
That's my Peloton story. I enjoy the Peloton.
Right.
It's a great workout. I've already picked up some new friends on the Peloton.
All right. So as we continue, and again, for those joining us, we are at Oak Highlands Brewery in Lake Highlands, which is just off of 635 and Miller Road or Plano Road. I mean, it's basically the same distance from both, off of 635, right on the north side. And we'll be here every Friday doing a live show on YouTube. And we were on Instagram, but my phone died, so we'll have to figure that out. But it's all a work in progress. But you guys on YouTube Live, glad to have a bunch of you here with us hanging out. And some of you that have come to the brewery, man, appreciate that too. Very cool to see you guys here trying some great beer from Oak Highlands.
You ain't touched your flight, dog.
He just got it. That's his second
*2?
one. Yeah. He literally just walked by with that. Yeah.
All right. I was going to say, you look like me 6 months ago.
You do. Or you'd sit there and he'd be like, no, I drank it. Like, no, you didn't. And he'd be like, no, I did. I'm like, great. Now I got to down all those too. Great. So I wanted to do a little something because doing the YouTube Live, and I know a lot of you are having some questions and whatnot, and we had some questions coming in from Twitter. So it's kind of like a T&A, not that kind, tweets and answers. But you're also welcome to ask some questions in the YouTube chat. If you have questions about the show, about us, about sports, about whatever it may be that you are curious about.
About our first time?
Wow, about our first time.
First time doing the show together, fool.
Oh.
Come on, man. Get your mind out of the gutter. My God.
Everybody thinks that when you say first time, you think,
yes, first time doing the show.
Come on.
I did.
All right. Well, how about the first time doing the show?
I don't remember much about it.
Okay. That's what I thought. There's a reality.
Okay. I remember great about it. I remember Matt was very, very nervous. I was like, come on, dog. Just do you, man. Don't worry about the people.
I was not nervous.
I'm telling my
I've never in my life been nervous on the radio. I'm like more comfortable on the radio than I am in real life.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess my perception was wrong.
Yeah, it was.
I guess you didn't need all those towels.
God,
wipe the sweat off your brow.
Now you're just making up stuff. So
yeah, pretty much.
I think this is interesting. See, this guy goes, Matt, you could have said Q&A. Yes, but T&A.
Come on, man.
Again,
can we have a little bit of fun?
Because in your brain, it's taking it somewhere, and then we trick you and say tweets and answers, and it works. You can market it. You can put it out as funny, I guess. And if not, then
I had this conversation today. And it's a great example. And say, I want to look at you while I'm talking to you. So check this out. Our web guy hit me up today because he's doing some things where, one, when you go to the, like some people like, I don't know, web podcast, how does it work? You go there, you'll be able to click something and take you right to it. You know what he had? So he's lining some stuff up. And you know what he said? He said, okay, we're going to have something over here. If you just want to hear Homer audio, you just hit a button.
Oh, nice.
You go there. If you want to hear JJT play-by-play, you hit a button, you go there. And he said 3 or 4, and he goes, hey, what is this peep show thing? And I said, it's when we watch it's where we talk about what we're watching on Amazon or Netflix with your nasty ass. And see, he said, no. I said, yeah, you went there with your filthy mind. And he started laughing.
They still have those, I think.
I don't know. But I said exactly what Matt said. I said it's a provocative title that makes you say, what? And then you saying, hopefully you hang around and listen and go, oh, okay, this is cool because everybody's streaming something. So that's what T is, man. What name?
That's why. So some of the tweets we got that are coming in. So DJD 3111 asks,
is this DJ?
No. That's DJR. No,
okay.
This is somebody new. But this is a woman. She asks,
hello there.
About the Cowboys, is this team just not talented or athletic enough for the schemes that are being requested of them?
You must be talking about the defense.
Yes, the defense, I would assume. I see. That's actually an interesting question to me because when you say talented or athletic, I think they're athletic enough. They're playing in the NFL. I think talented because we've seen them perform before in a lot of cases, which is why we're so frustrated because the level that we have seen them. This is why, like, we get frustrated with Tank or at Jalen or what have you, because we have seen a level from them that we know exists that we don't currently see consistently.
Well, I think the thing is, man, scheme matters. I mean, it really does. If you've been playing in a defense the last 3 or 4 years that says attack, get up the field, make plays, you draft players with that mindset and with that ability, and now you're being said, hey, don't attack, stay right here, see where the guy's going here or here, and then you move and go. That's a whole different mindset. And so if you have a training camp and an off season, you can work through some of those issues. If you're doing it on the fly during the season, that's really hard. Like you ask Tank Lawrence, hey, go rush from 2-point stance. And every time he takes a false step in the NFL, he steps back before he runs forward. Well, you've lost the play right there. So it's all those little technique things. If you talk to Mike Nolan and watch film with him, he'd probably show you 100 things where if they just did this instead of that.
Yeah.
He was talking about that last run, the 69-yarder. And he goes, we had 4 guys assigned to cover 2 gaps. And yet nobody did the job right, and the guy went right through the middle.
So there you have it. So Scott on the YouTube chat says, is that the brewery? Yes, this is the brewery behind us at Oak Highlands Brewing Company. The tanks that you're seeing over here, the fermenters, where, depending on what beers they've been brewing lately, I would imagine like Derelict is probably in one of those and Freaky Deaky because they pump those out pretty good. You guys on YouTube can't see it. That's this right here with the stairs is the brew house. That's where you mash. So they go up into there and all these control, and they'll have a couple of mash tuns over there, and then they from there will go into the rest of the brewing process, which is back over here, and then the fermenter. And I don't see the bright tank is, they probably have a couple of them somewhere, but it's hard to say.
What the hell's a bright tank?
The bright, like yesterday we were in Odd Muse and he poured us beer. So the bright's where the beer goes to carbonate, and it's like the last process, like a giant keg essentially, which is where it'll be the last step before anything that comes out of the bright is ready to go for the most part. And then so it goes from the bright into cans or kegs or what have you that go out for however you want it to be. But when beer's in the bright tank, that's as fresh as you can have it.
Yeah, that's the best stuff.
Yeah. Now, and like yesterday we had a beer at Odd Muse where he goes, well, it's not carbonated. And I was like, that's fine because you get the flavor of it. It's just not carbonated because it hadn't set in the bright long enough for it to get that type of thing going on it. But there you have it. So yeah, we are here. Oh, Scott goes, did no one show up? Yeah, people showed up. Like there's more people over this way. Like we're facing like where people would sit and all that. So yeah. But yeah, Scott, come on out, man. If you're thinking about coming, like you say, hang out at Oak Highlands Brewery. We're here having a good time. So elsewhere on our TNA, tweets and answers, or if you have questions in the chat and you want to ask us a question about whatever it is, feel free. Todd Flippo says, what is wrong with Tank? Is he really injured?
Well, see, my initial response to that is always, why do you think he's not injured? This is football. It's a violent game. And on the real, if you go back to the Falcons game and look at about, I want to say it's like 12 minutes in the second quarter, you can see him off the ball, pull up and grab his something and hobble off.
Like if it's up near the sack, that's groin.
Yeah, but because
you feel that, because the groin is up there and we all like, oh, he's grabbing his stuff. No, I mean, anybody who's ever heard it, like generally speaking, it hurts up where it connects in your pelvis, essentially.
But he's also got some knee thing. He may have that too. He's got some knee thing.
Yeah.
And you talk to people out there, they, some people would say a few weeks ago he probably shouldn't have been playing. So Tank has never been the most talented guy. He's always been a high motor effort guy. And so, if you can't, sometimes, man, you get so hurt, you can only do what you can do, whatever that is.
Yeah. And, that's always a great question. And we've asked that before on the podcast
Till after the season.
Is 70% of Tank better? And apparently it is better than 100% of whatever else you have on the roster.
Yeah, but I don't really even think that's unusual.
No, I don't think it is either.
For a guy with his skill set.
But he's supposed to be that way. You're paying him $20 million a year because 70% of him is supposed to be better than the $1 million you're paying for, whoever rotates in from time to time.
Exactly.
So we'll see. All right. And then, this is a weird name. Bros Idonks. I don't know what that means. On Twitter says, I agree with you. What in the world is wrong with the Texas Longhorns? And you know what, man? As a Texas fan and a guy who watches Texas every week and has for years, I
can tell you exactly what's wrong with the Texas Longhorns, man.
Tom Herman's not a head coach, and I think we're discovering this.
I don't even know if it's I'm just going to tell you what's wrong with the Texas Longhorns. And let me see. Here's what's wrong with Texas Longhorns. Y'all can figure it out from there. And this ain't real complicated to me, all right? The game at the college level is about players. Now, I mean like ballers. I'm talking about like you catch it in the flat, bzz, you make two guys miss, you house it.
Yeah.
Guys at Bama do that. Guys at Clemson do that. Guys at Ohio State do that.
Okay, but why?
Guys at Texas don't do that. Because
talent on paper, the classes are the same.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They are.
Okay, well, let me say this.
Texas has had multiple top 5 classes under Herman. The gap between the number 1 class and number 4 class is not that great.
I would say this.
We're not talking about he's recruiting the 25th class. He's recruiting talent that Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia are recruiting. That talent, when they get there, does not excel.
This is a great question to look at because I don't believe that for the most part.
Then the rankings are wrong.
No, I don't believe that people go. I'm just asking, and this is a great conversation because we can kind of go look and see. I don't think the same cats go to, I know for a fact the cats that Ohio State goes after, their visit list says Ohio State, Bama, Clemson. And when you lose because the guy went somewhere, he typically, I'm talking about their top of the line, their top 10 recruits. Yeah. Those guys, he spurned Ohio State, he's going to Clemson. He was at Ohio State, he decommitted, he's going to Bama. At Texas, ain't nobody. We lost the running back. Ohio, he was down in Ohio State.
Bijan Robinson.
But here's the difference. I asked somebody because I don't study Texas like that. I like Texas, but I don't study. I go because I said, ain't y'all got a 5-star running back? I mean, running backs out the box, boop, they ready to go. They're like, well, he hadn't really been that impressive yet. I'm like, what are we talking about?
He's a 5-star guy. You know why he hadn't been impressive? Because they don't give him the damn ball. I mean, you're talking about. He's a true freshman, but I'm telling you, like Najee Harris is a great example of this. When he showed up as a true freshman, he was the highest recruit in the country at Alabama.
Right.
And obviously we know at Alabama at that point you have to wait essentially your turn.
Right.
So he had to sit and go out games as a freshman at Bama that he had something.
I think
Bijan gets into the game, and for whatever reason they're like, oh, we must have better backs. Why he doesn't get all the carries is beyond me. Keontae Ingram was a 4-star guy, really highly recruited guy. And Keontae Ingram comes in, he gets hurt, he fumbles. I don't know what it is.
I think it's two things. One, and we split hairs because we're talking about great programs and Texas trying to get back to that level. I mean, at one level, you should look at the draft. If you it's about elite players at the college level. How many elite players do you have? Not nice ones, but guys who make plays and are first-round picks. I mean, how many has Alabama had over the last 5? I mean, they had 20 of them.
5.
How many has Clemson had? How many has Ohio State had?
Right.
That's what it is. And for whatever reason, Texas isn't getting those guys. Now, here's the second part of it. And this may be the part that's really it. One part is super duper elite talent. The other part is what it's always been. And this is probably what you're talking about. It's player development.
They don't develop the players they recruit.
Now that could be,
and that to me is coaching.
Well, that's. I mean, you gotta. It's one thing to get them on campus. It's another thing to develop them.
Right.
You know, and see, you're not going to. You also got to get numbers. Like, and I'm just using my program because I'm most familiar with them. Is if you get, and I'm realistic about it. If you sign 4 or 5-star guys, one of them is going to be hurt. One of them is going to be just a guy, and 2 of them are going to be stars. What you thought they were going to be. Now, if you only sign 2 of them cats, one might get hurt, one might be just a guy. You're not guaranteed just because you sign them, they turn into who you thought they were. And if you're not signing enough of them, then you don't get enough of that elite player so that at some point, 4 years down the road, you got 9 guys who are 5 stars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
5
you
or 6
know,
of them making a difference.
like a great example of this is Gary Patterson at TCU, who can sign a bunch of 3-star dudes and go out because he develops the talent that he's got.
But that's a great point, but that's a whole different mindset.
Like Texas
Them
is signing,
cats go there waiting, like, will you mold me, Gary, please?
right? And you know, like the greatest thing I've always thought that Saban does at Alabama is getting 5-star, like Najee Harris, a 5-star dude, saying, "Look, you got 2 years till it's your time. You cool with that?" And that dude is cool with it.
You know, why is he cool with it though?
Because he's going to develop and go pro. I mean, now you're looking at, well, that for whatever reason, I'm not sure that the culture has changed from when Mac lost it and Charlie Strong came in and tried to change it. And there still seems to be a sense. And then also, Sam Ehlinger is a solid college quarterback.
I was getting to this.
He is not great. He's not an NFL quarterback. He reminds me of like Jake Coker when he was at Alabama. And Jake Coker won a national title.
If you got enough guys around you, you can do
right.
that.
And then people are like, oh, what round do you think Jake Coker will go in? It's like, none. And sure enough, I mean, why would you? And Sam Ehlinger is that guy. Now, he'll probably get drafted and end up as a career NFL backup because you can use him and he'll do the right thing. But I'm curious because, you know, the kid out of Southlake that they just got in, number 1 recruit in the country who's a quarterback, 5-star guy is coming to Texas. And that's one of those guys. He's the first overall number 1 recruit that Texas has gotten since Vince Young. Now
you cooking with grease. That's what we say in Oak Cliff. Because that's the thing. See, I was going to get to that. Like, if you look at the programs we're talking about, outside of Bama, which is kind of a machine everywhere, but still, they've had Tua, they've had Hurts. You know, they
basically went Blake Sims. They went Jake Coker.
Right.
You know,
that's why I said they're a machine.
AJ McCarron, who's a good college quarterback, but he's not great.
Ohio State and, you know, Clemson, they tend to have a little more elite.
Yeah, because Clemson went from Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence, essentially.
Quarterback. Because when you got that guy at quarterback in the college game, especially if he can run, man, you can't do nothing with him. That's why Kyler Murray was so good. I mean, you just can't do anything with him. And Ehlinger is good. He's really good. But he ain't no game breaker good.
No, he's not on the level of the great ones.
The thing about it is, if you get the dude from Southlake, and he threw up a hook 'em horns last night after he scored, that's great. You can also do what with him, Matt? You can recruit to him.
Yeah.
And how about this, Matt? He'll recruit himself.
Yeah.
Hey, dog, you a 5-star receiver. Let's go do this thing. Hey, dog, you a 5-star receiver. Let's go do this thing.
Let's go return Texas to greatness.
Yeah. But you got to have that guy that can do that.
All right. Well, elsewhere, I thought this was an interesting question. In the chat, Gary says, if the Cowboys had made the NFC title game in Dak's rookie year, when would they have signed him? I don't know that it'd be different.
That's way too hypothetical, bro.
You know? Like if Aaron Rodgers somehow overthrows Jared Cook and the Cowboys end up going to the NFC title game, I don't know that it changes.
No, because he'd want more money because he'd been like, I'll take you to the title game.
Well, even then, it's still, you're basically looking at everything the same.
Right.
Like there was something about it where the Cowboys, for whatever reason, don't want to, which now you look at it and you go, well, they're going to have to pay the 37-7 tag next year. And if you're Dak, why would you take anything less? If you're the Cowboys, you say, okay, well, I guess we'll tag you the next year. Now we got to figure out a play here. Otherwise, you're trying to buy out that guaranteed money in a short cap year where the cap's going to drop way down. The Cowboys, I've said this many times.
They screwed the whole thing up.
They screwed this up bad.
They screwed it up bad. As simple as that.
And that's just where it's at. I mean, it's one of those things with that where they should have signed Dak. And I know that, the few of you that are still in the hate hive and don't understand that this is actually a quarterback. Hell, we were at False Idol a couple weeks ago, and Brandon at False Idol is like arguing with this. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? He's like, Dak, I mean, they're never. I was like, come on.
Did you like Andy Dalton last week? I'm just saying. Because I heard a lot of folks saying Andy Dalton can do what Dak can do.
No, nobody liked Andy Dalton last week. There's no way, but it's one of those things where, Dak is and I've thought this for a long time, a guy that you can win with. Does he need people around him? Yes. But again, as we've had many times, people go, Aaron Rodgers doesn't. Okay. So the greatest or one of the three greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game doesn't need a lot of weapons around him.
Okay, but see, I always go back to this, man.
Okay.
Who's your favorite Dallas Cowboys quarterback? Is it Roger or is it Troy?
Well, for me, it's Troy because I grew up with
Troy. Let's see. Troy had the best offensive line in the league, a Hall of Fame running back, a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and I believe Charles Haley played on his team, and he went to the Hall of Fame. Deion Sanders played in one of those Super Bowls. He went to the Hall of Fame. I think Troy had some help. Now, I'm a Roger guy because I'm a little bit older. Let me see. Roger played with a Hall of Fame running back, a Hall of Fame wide receiver, about 2 or 3 Hall of Famers on defense. I mean, come on, man. Terry Bradshaw. Let me see. Did he have any help?
Yeah.
Tom Brady might not have had a whole lot of help, but all he had was the best coach in the history of the game.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you
don't win without help.
Well, it's Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls, and then you go through the San Francisco 49ers of the 80s that he played with. I mean, come on, and so, well, if Dak was any good, he would need Amari Cooper. So I guess Montana sucked because he had to have Jerry Rice.
And John Taylor, though.
And I get it. There are the elite guys who can win, like an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, obviously, who has figured out how to do it with an elite level coach at some points. Even Peyton Manning had to have Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne.
Don't forget about Edgerrin James.
And Edgerrin James, yeah.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Nobody does it on their own. And so this idea to me that he's not those guys, because I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I've always thought he's kind of douchey, but he may be the best quarterback in NFL history, and he's got 1 Super Bowl ring. Drew Brees, he's got 1 Super Bowl ring. You think Drew Brees is like, Michael, we should trade. Can you all trade Michael Thomas? I don't need that guy. Give me some spares. I can win. Yeah. You got to have that type of talent. That's what it's about. It's about loading it in. It's not like Pat Mahomes is pissed that they got Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and that they went out and spent a first-round pick on a running back in last year's draft. I've never understood that argument. History. I don't have a damn clue. We talked about that. My brother Mark turned 30 this year. In his mind, the Cowboys are the Lions.
They are.
They're a Washington football team.
They are.
They're the Browns.
Those are the only teams in the NFC that haven't been to the championship game.
You're looking at this, like literally, that's what the Cowboys are for people that are 30 that are married and have kids. And in their whole life, they're like, I mean, I hear you talk about all this crap from the history of the Cowboys, and to me, they just, explain the difference between them and the Lions.
Take it a step further.
They don't have back-to-back winning seasons since 95, 96, much like Detroit.
10-win seasons.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, double-digit wins, yeah.
Take my dude, man. He's 16. He don't know nothing about the Cowboys being any good.
There it is.
What?
So Scott, who's an Eagles fan, God bless him. I don't know if he's from Philadelphia or not. Maybe you are, Scott. Tell us. But Scott says that's not the point about the weapons with receivers and all that. Yes, you need help to win, but you can't get all the help needed when you're demanding 18% of the cap yearly. See, and this is always really interesting to me. So did Matt Ryan lose the Super Bowl because he cost that much against the cap?
I don't think so.
And so then I've always wondered that, because there have been guys that have cost a large percentage of the cap like that.
Peyton Manning?
Yeah, or Eli, that went to the Super Bowl and lost. Manning was a great example of that when they lost when he was in the Super Bowl one year. And then you see like literally Matt Ryan, I think was 19% of the cap. It was 17 to 19%, something like that. They were up 28-3 at the half, but they lost the Super Bowl because he made so much of the cap. Or Aaron Rodgers last year. Aaron Rodgers cost a ridiculous amount against the cap last year. The Packers made it to the NFC title game. So do they lose the title game because he cost a huge percentage of the cap? Or is he just so great that one's okay? I don't know.
It depends on your perspective.
I don't know the other. It's one of those things. See, and there it is. He goes, name the other top 5 paid quarterbacks that recently won the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan, explain it. So they lost the Super Bowl because Matt Ryan was 18% against the cap. That's why.
I mean, people. I typically don't indulge in this debate because you're not changing anybody's mind.
So if Pat Mahomes wins the Super Bowl the next couple of years, does that kill the argument or no? Because Pat Mahomes is Aaron Rodgers, and that doesn't count in the argument.
I don't know, man.
Like if you're not the greatest of all time, then you can't be in the argument, I guess.
Well, I ain't mad at nobody, but typically people have their minds made up on this issue, and it's not changing.
See, and then he goes, no one is Pat Mahomes. See, that's what I'm saying. So then the argument is invalid because everybody counts or they don't. You don't get to pick and choose who counts in the argument, right? But that's what we do. Well, we sit there and say, well, no. And then I'll say, well, Matt Ryan. And then people just ignore it. They don't say anything. Well, they lost the Super Bowl. Oh, again.
But they got there.
But they lost. The reason why they lost the Super Bowl is because he cost 18% against the cap. That's why they lost. That's the argument. Yes or no?
I mean, Russell Wilson looked like he headed that way this year.
No, you can't win the cap, though, with the guy making that much. No.
And if they don't get to the Super Bowl, is it because he made $18 million?
Yes.
Or $35 million or whatever he makes?
If Russell Wilson doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, it'll be because he makes $35 million a year. They could have spent it on a spare backup. If he would have taken $30 million, they could have given $5 million to some dude who rotates in on the defensive line that would have gotten a sack that caused a fumble that they would have scored on to help win
I'm gonna
a game.
break this down for y'all real quick. This is all some NFL management BS to help keep salaries down. So they create this narrative, and that's why some players are like, it ain't my job to manage the cap. That's your job. I mean, my job is to secure my family's future, secure generations' future if you want to. And that's just what it is.
It's interesting.
I mean, you got to remember, CEOs make a lot more than football players. Yeah, I wouldn't mind making $30 million a year.
Oh, you would? You wouldn't?
But in this country, a lot of people.
God, I wouldn't mind making like $500K a year. $30 million? Jeez.
Hey,
$1 million. I'm like, what do we do now?
Big dreams, baby. Big dreams.
Do we go to Hawaii? Is that a thing? Can we do this? We have the money? I mean, it'd be cool to go to, like, you go to your bank account and you're like, oh my God, it's working.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask the lady. I hope this card works. Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. Scott and I obviously disagree.
And that's okay.
Because it's one of those things where, I will agree with you on this. They blew the window of opportunity, which I think is kind of to your point, that the Chiefs capitalized on with Mahomes and the Seahawks did it with Wilson to win with that level of quarterback making less so that you could invest in other parts at a high level. I don't think that just because you're making a lot of money, you can't win a Super Bowl.
And we've talked about this 1,000 times, is that they didn't win or get to the championship game in 07, 14, or 16. Those are the crimes. Otherwise, a lot of these conversations would have gone away, but they wasted their opportunities those years, and that's why you're still frustrated about it right now.
And the salary cap in itself is always interesting because people believe if you do this, this, and this, then you're screwed. You can't possibly do anything else. The salary cap, this is why this year to me is so interesting because of the reality of how it goes up so much and the way, and the Cowboys do this all the time. A lot of teams do. They restructure contracts so much where they push the money and they can restructure it and set it up. Well, we're going to do this, and then in 2 years, you're going to get a balloon payment because the cap will be $20 million more. The fact that it's going to drop by $20+ million next year, that'll be really interesting because nobody forecast that when they were signing the contracts they signed.
No, nobody saw it. I mean, how could you?
That's where that'll be the most interesting thing to me to see is how teams navigate that. Teams go all in. So it's like, okay, we have you have a quarterback that you believe you can win with. He wants $35 million a year. Well, no team's ever won with that. We can't. We'll start over with who and who. And then the idea is, I guess, you take the $35 million a year, you're not spending on the quarterback. You get, let's say, Andy Dalton. And so he costs you, if he's the starter, you're paying him $15 million a year. So with your $20 million savings, you go out and you get, I'm assuming, either 2 $10 million guys or 4 $5 million guys that give you depth that are able to work.
Right.
Even though when we've done this study of the salary cap, nothing plays on the salary cap more than IR. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're in teams, it's interesting like this. The Cowboys have a lot of guys that are over $10 million a year on the cap. Or at least they did last year when we did this. You know, the Saints had a couple of guys, I think. There's a lot of teams that have $5 to $10 million guys. Then you have a lot of teams that have $1 to $5 million guys, and they'll have like a couple of dudes that are expensive. And there was no correlation between any of that with winning or losing other than if your high-paid guys are on injured reserve and can't play.
Like this year.
Like this year with Dallas. Then you have an actual problem. So we'll see. See, he goes, running back money is not even in the same. Oh, he's talking to somebody in chat. I thought you were talking to me. He's like, God.
No.
I was like, Scott, I like you. You seem like a nice guy. Let's not get into a fight. Although we could. No. An online fight, like a Twitter troll fight.
Nah.
All right, so we got about 10 minutes left here as we continue. And then again, for those of you wondering where we're at, we'll be doing this every Friday live at Oak Highlands Brewery. Oak Highlands Brewery is technically in Dallas. This is like Garland to me. Like Garland, Lake Highlands, even though I know the address is Dallas. Do what? Yeah, I mean, that's, you know. So it's one of those things where it's at Miller and 635, just north of 635. They have a really good beer selection here. Great place, a lot of space. Usually on Fridays, they have a fish fry. And unfortunately, the dude tonight canceled because I was going to eat it. I haven't eaten hardly at all today.
Is that right? Waiting for the fish fry?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I had a little something earlier. I was like, man, that sounds good. I'll try it out. And then I get here and Ryan tells me, oh, yeah, our fish fry guy canceled.
You know what? I'm not too far behind you. I don't think I've eaten since about 10 o'clock this morning.
And then at some point, I got to drive all the way over to North Fort Worth to pick up my son tonight.
How glorious is that?
Because why would your ex-wife help you out at all?
Stop.
What?
It's it's about you and Maddox having car time.
No, I know. But I think it's interesting. She goes, well, what time are you going to be here? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm coming from the east side of Dallas all the way to Fort Worth at 6:30 or whatever in the evening, probably 8. Oh, I forget. Like we're not having a private conversation.
I mean, you can listen to the podcast on the way over.
I could, yes. Yeah. And you know what? She's great. It's great. Good for them. But yeah, that's and you're going to your DeSoto game.
Yeah, DeSoto's got Waxahachie at the crib tonight.
Well, that'll be fun.
It should be a big-time Eagles win. I'm not just saying that. Waxahachie is a struggling program. So DeSoto should, everybody should feel good about themselves at the end of the night.
Waxahachie only has one school? Really? I thought it was bigger than that.
No, it's huge now.
Yeah. So
you mean the city?
Yeah, like the city of Waxahachie only has one high school?
Yeah. I mean, they ain't interested in having no more.
They're trying to do the Allen thing?
I don't think they're trying to. I mean, it's just, you know what? They've got some, they got, this is part of the reason John Kitna left Waxahachie when he was the coach there. They got some other school that opened up that's like some kind of magnet school there. And I think that's their second high school.
You know, look, so I keep looking at my phone. I get these texts from numbers I don't know. I'm like, oh, is there somebody from the brewery? You know, like maybe I don't know.
Oh, it's political.
Yes. Like what? God, I get it. I'm going to vote.
Okay, like I think since they went and they got my number.
This is out of control, man. I've gotten like 5 today.
All you do is just hit stop.
Hi, Matthew. This is Lee volunteering for Candace Valenzuela for Congress. Can I count on you to vote for Candace?
Oh,
you know what? I've done some research on her. I don't know. Probably not on her.
Who's the last one who hit you back?
Linda.
When did she hit you?
Hi, right now.
Okay, send her back and go, because you text me, I'm not going to vote. And I guarantee she'll send me back. Do it right now.
She goes, hi, Matt. No, she goes, hi, Matthew. So you don't know me.
No.
You pulled my name from somewhere. Nobody calls me that except my mom, Linda. She goes, this is Linda with Powered by People. This race is tight and every vote will matter. Will you commit to voting this final weekend? No, I'm going to go next week, Linda.
No, tell her you don't believe
I'm not
in
committing.
the voting process.
See, he voted today. Yeah, I'm going to go on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. Oh, yeah? Just say stop? Well, see, like sometimes I go, like some girl, she was like, hi, Matt, this is Sarah with so-so, blah, blah, blah. And I go, Sarah.
You sound hot.
Yeah, I was like, we getting dinner? And she was like, that's what I thought. You know, come on. You texted me, not the other way around. This is nuts, man. Like, I can't believe how many I've gotten today. And I get it. And again, we talked about this in the podcast. You need to vote. You want to vote for whoever you want to vote for. That's cool. It's whatever. You know, we all have our beliefs.
The most interesting thing about voting, because I voted the other day.
Oh, you did?
Yes. And I took some time because I just forgot. You're voting Republican. you're voting Democratic, or you're voting Libertarian, or like the Green Party or something.
Yeah, Green Party.
And I'm like,
I vote Libertarian a lot, but I probably won't this election.
Oh, see, so I actually spent more time looking at their names. Like, I don't remember hearing anything about these four people.
Joe, what is it? Joe Jurgensen or whatever?
I don't know.
Libertarian. Yeah. So so what I did a couple of weeks ago is I looked at all the people running and then I went and read their platforms and to see what they're about.
This is why.
Yeah, because I'm not a straight party ticket guy.
Neither am I.
There are certain things that I agree with on certain sides, and which is why for me, I voted for Gary Johnson in the last couple of elections because I connect more with the ideals, I think, of the Libertarian Party.
Right.
But it's which is a lot about personal freedom and this and that. We not to get too into it, but my thing has been, I want to know who these people are. Like, they text me, like, "Are you going to vote for this person?" Like, I mean, no, I'll be honest with you. Like, school board and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't even know. And I tried to look up the people because we can vote for Irving mayor,
right?
And Stopner or whatever, Stopper is our mayor now. But the girl running against him, I say the woman, yes. The woman running against him doesn't have, I couldn't find anything on her. It's like, how am I supposed to vote for you?
See the way you say I don't vote in school board stuff, dude. The DeSoto school board is so crazy. I'm like, hey, I'm heavily involved now because they be tripping, and so that's why a lot of people heavily involved in school board politics now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you got to vote for whoever you believe represents you the best. But I actually spend a lot of time on it in election time, especially in the presidential elections. And now we have an opportunity to elect a state senator and representatives and stuff like that. And I look at their platforms. I'm like, do I agree with this or not? What? Because there are things that are more important to me than others. And if I feel like I connect with somebody in those realms, then I'm going to vote for you, because there is no perfect candidate. Yeah, there is nobody out there that hits 100% of the issues for you. And I feel like it's becoming more of a problem because it's becoming so divided where it feels like you're either way over here or way over here. And that's why
I said this today, man. I was talking
we need a third party, like the Libertarian Party. Even if you disagree with it, at least as a third party gives you an alternative. And if they had more backing, then they could be a bigger player.
I think it's so partisan that, I was talking to my dude about it today. I go, if Jesus was a Republican, then there's not the vast majority of Democrats wouldn't vote for him. And if Jesus was a Democrat, the vast majority of Republicans wouldn't vote for him, because all they see is D or R. Okay, you're out. Whereas, it's it shouldn't be that way. That's why I said I'm like Matt, where I really consider myself an independent, and I just kind of go with what I'm feeling for different people. Yeah,
because different candidates represent different things in different races, and I don't want a straight party thing. I don't want the country to be all run by one side or one side. I like a little bit of balance,
a little variety.
You know what I mean?
Who wants just missionary every night?
Gosh, because if so, maybe I shouldn't tell this story.
Oh, then that would be good.
No, it wouldn't. God. My mom, I have a kid. Obviously, my mom knows that I am intimate.
16, 17-year-old kid. I didn't say he should. I just said the fact that he's trying is normal. He goes,
we were all teenagers.
Yeah, I know, man. He said, but now his mom thinks he's doing it. And that's right. I said, she wasn't trying to do that at 16? He goes, no. So I said, you're lying. He goes, okay, fine. I'm sure she was. And then
are women trying to do that at 16?
Yeah, they are. So then,
not the girls I hung out with.
He says he has this conversation with his son, and he goes, dude, you can't go wherever you're trying to go this weekend. And listen to this, Matt. He says, because your mom thinks you're trying to get some. And the dude looked at his dad and said, well, what's wrong with that? And he said, you can't let your mom think you're trying to do it.
At the end of the day.
Hey, man, the lovely Lorraine is always concerned about where her son is.
I mean, we put up with a lot again, and it goes back to, I enjoy spending time, right?
Right.
But at some point, let's get naked.
Yeah, happy times.
I mean,
but
it's true.
So I talked to my son about decision and consequences, and I've told him. I ain't afraid to tell y'all because I told him. I'm not, I was a red-blooded American male at 16. I was trying to go there. But you can't do it at my house. You can't do it at her house because her daddy might find you, shoot you. And you can't do it in the car because that's indecent exposure. Now, I don't know what to tell you, but you can't do it here, you can't do it there, you can't do it in the car. So it's up to you to be creative and figure something out.
You can't do it in a car.
No, that's indecent exposure. Now, black teenagers got different rules than white teenagers now.
That happened to me once. Like, I thought it was going to go down with this chick I was dating many years ago.
Yes, what's her name?
We pulled over. I'm not going to say her name. Well, she's married now. I
shot the jumper. I was like,
no, some people, I won't say their names. And because I like her, she's cool. And she's cool now, and she's married and has, good for her. But she was from Rowlett, and so we tried to go to this little park area. It was dark in Rowlett, I don't know what was going to happen. Maybe that was going to happen or not. And so I remember this, we pull in and we start making out. Next thing you know, we see these headlights and then these lights flash. I'm like, oh my God, it's a cop.
See? And
this cop comes up and knocks on the window. What are you kids doing, basically?
The hell you think we doing, dog?
And I was like, oh, I don't even remember the excuse I made. I was like, man, I want to be like, now, I'm like, what do you think we're doing, man? See? What do you think we're trying to do?
Right.
We're trying to have sex.
Yeah, you should have said.
But apparently, what?
See? And that's why I told my dude, you can't do it in the car.
Oh, God, how dare you? How dare you enjoy?
Frankly, I told my dude, you can't afford a hotel room, dog. You're not mature enough to do it.
Or a motel room.
We're a little classier, but hey, whatever works for you.
Motel 6, man, I'm telling you, the beds are clean, the sheets are clean, the showers work.
Hey, man, everybody got their own thing.
Yeah, you do. I mean, there's nothing. Yeah, we'll leave the light on for you, so they're welcome to you.
Okay, it's whatever.
Oh, you know what? The last time I stayed, because we talked about this the other day, I've stayed in a Motel 6 like 200 times in my life. The last time I stayed in one, my lady friend fell asleep one night when I was out, and I came back to the apartment, and she had locked the top lock where I couldn't get in.
Why is
that? I'm beating on the door. She said she didn't think about it. She forgot. And I couldn't wake her up. And I was like, oh my God, I know what to do. Our neighbor came out. He's like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't get in. He's like, oh. And I was like, no, she's not mad at me. She just accidentally locked the door.
Okay.
It wasn't for real. We weren't fighting or anything.
I see, this is what I love about this. You hear that story? Now imagine you black telling that story. Imagine, it's all good. I'm banging on the door, can't get in, screaming. Hey,
Cops would have come.
She's not mad at me. It's all good, man.
So I was like, well, I guess I got to go. And so she texted me in the middle of the night. She goes, where are you? I was like, I went and got like a $30 motel because.
Really?
And she goes, we can come home now. I unlocked the door. I was like, what the God, what? So I went home. I want to sleep in my own bed. Whatever. All right.
That's the way to end it.
Yeah, that's a good ender right there, man. So thanks for everybody. For the few of you that came out tonight, very cool to see you guys. Thanks for all of you on YouTube. We'll be out here again next Friday, 4 to 6 at Oak Highlands Brewery in Lake Highlands. It's off of Miller or Plano Road, off of 635. Love to see you guys come out. It's a great night, man. It feels great. So subscribe to the podcast if you would. And if you can help us out, man, rate and review the podcast. Apparently that plays in the algorithms and really helps it out. Also with the YouTube as well. If you can leave some comments there, it helps us. We appreciate that. So find us wherever you get your podcasts and keep checking in with YouTube. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you again here on Sunday after the Cowboys game. We will have a episode dropping Monday morning, bright and early for you guys to check out wherever you listen to your podcast. Appreciate you guys on YouTube Live. Appreciate you guys for real. Thanks a lot. Y'all have a good night.
How do you stop?